heavily connected to the Kansas City Chiefs. I am sure it would be Tyreek's first place if he could pick to go back to. At least I would think it would be. And the Chiefs have a need, and the Chiefs are interested, and they're not worried about any of his other question marks.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
51-0, Donnie.
Yeah.
Those numbers don't lie. Georgia, every time they rush for over 200 yards, that's dating back from 2017 against FCS and FBS opponents. They don't lose. The 2 years that they won back-to-back national championships, year one, they rushed for over 208 times. Year two, when they beat TCU, that year they rushed for over 206 times.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look at the weather, try to look for some anytime touchdowns or maybe some props that you really feel confident about. But it's always the time for urgency, especially for a team like the New York Giants. I think that defense is something that can give Giants fans hope. And then if you get Dart under center, it's hope. And then if you can get Scatterboo out there and the whole building's going boo, it's hope. And as we know, hope works.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Walsh here on SportsGrid with Game Time decisions from the decisions desk where, say it with me, we make decisions all day, all week, all the time, and that applies to today because we have a lot to get to on this Tuesday evening. We have a full Major League Baseball board. A couple of games have already finished up, really just one, and then we're already delayed now in the doubleheader between the Nats and the Braves. Paul Skeens is in action tonight against the Cubs, the presumptive soon-to-be NL Cy Young winner. Last start didn't get a lot of run. Paul Skeens under 6.5 strikeouts. I don't mind the look against the Cubs. He hasn't topped that number in either of his first two chances against Chicago. Wild card races across both the American League and the National League. The Yankees are on the road against Minnesota, looking for a win. The Guardians trying to keep hope alive on the road against Detroit. New wild card team, Houston Astros, needing a victory at home against the Rangers. Why? Because the Mariners have won 9 games in a row. Of course, on the National League side of it, all eyes remain on the Mets. Clay Holmes, a favorite tonight against the San Diego Padres. Reds grabbed a win last night to get back to 500. The D-backs stay hot and replace the Giants as what is right now the biggest threat to the New York Mets, at least via the standings in that NL wild card race. We will go through this baseball board. We will also spotlight some WNBA playoff action. 2 games tonight. This playoff pick race started on Sunday with all 4 favorites starting 1-0. Now, in some of those spots, predictable. The Lynx on the Valkyries, the Aces on the Storm, and the Dream on the Fever. But for the Liberty, that game was almost pick. They, at Phoenix, had themselves a bit of a comeback and handled business in overtime, where now they can close it out in New York. That game, not tonight. Instead, you get the Fever and the Dream in Indiana and the Storm and the Aces in Seattle. The setup of these series, 1-1-1 format. So you're now flipping it around as they will try and protect home court and force an elimination game in what would be the Dreams building or the Aces building. Vegas, by the way, has won 17 consecutive games. Going back now to the regular season, to me, they just look like the best team in the W. I'm not saying they should be in front of the Lynx. I think you could argue the gap should be a little bit tighter, though, as Vegas is playing at minimum just as well. And I think inarguably are being presented with the easier path to make the WNBA championship. All things to keep in mind throughout the market. That first game, my best bet of the night will come from. That's the Fever and the Dream. We'll get to that. We're going to have Coach James Young stop by, get his thoughts on everything that is happening with that as well. We do have a number of things to get to, though, in the National Football League, including a pretty strong piece of booking for the LA Chargers in the AFC West market. They are now clear and definitive division favorites over the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as the Broncos and Raiders. The Chargers, the lone 2-0 team in the AFC West with 2 divisional wins to start their season. Justin Herbert entering your early season MVP conversation. A lot on his plate right now. If you have a Herbert MVP ticket, you've got to be excited. I played a pair of Chargers in the awards market. One stock up. That would be Jim Harbaugh for Coach of the Year. Depending where you are looking, tied for the second best odds. He will be in that race undoubtedly. Another stock down, that would be the Offensive Rookie of the Year market, where Amarian Hampton has moved back quite a bit from the 9-1 number that I bet him at, and rightfully so. The Chargers are a pass-happy group with a split backfield and struggling to run block. It's not been a great start to the season for Amarian Hampton. Last night's Monday night doubleheader, though, did not only bring about some MVP chatter for Justin Herbert. In the opening game, Baker Mayfield saw his name tossed into the conversation, and rightfully so. Baker Mayfield last year had MVP numbers. The list of quarterbacks with a top 10 passer rating, top 10 QBR, and 40-plus total touchdowns. Lamar, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. But the wins weren't there for Tampa Bay. Winning your division is not enough. Josh Allen last year as a 2 seed was one of the lowest seeds we've seen win this award in over a decade. Typically, it is the number 1 seed and their quarterback, either the AFC or the NFC. I still think that Josh being the 2 seed where Lamar was the 3 was maybe the difference within the league's MVP voting. To some degree, I do. For Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, can they stack wins? Can they take advantage of a weak AFC South? They've taken advantage of NFC South. They've taken advantage of it in winning it, right? Without gaudy, 9-8, 10-7. Can they beat up on Carolina? Can they beat up on New Orleans? A split with Atlanta. They've already beaten Atlanta once on the road. Could Tampa Bay go 6-0 in division? If you were to list odds to go 6-0 in division, Buffalo would be 1. With the Cincinnati injuries, I guess Baltimore goes to 2. Is Tampa Bay 3? Chiefs already eliminated from it. Philly in the NFC East, that's a tall task. Point stands. For the Bucs, there's going to be some opportunities, and it's why Baker moves into that mix off of the Monday night comeback win against the Houston Texans. A lot of praise to start this show. We will disappoint some. Kevin Sevens tonight. The 7 teams that have already been eliminated from Super Bowl contention. Some of you might say, 2 weeks in, you can't eliminate. But others would say, when you look at this list, all 7 of these teams were eliminated before the year started. So we meet in the middle. We are going to go through each and every one of these teams and let you know why the season is done already. There's some optimism, though, if you are 0-2 and did not make this list. Perhaps that is really who that segment is for, and we will talk to Brady Cannon, as we do on a Tuesday, to start to figure out what stands out on this Week 3 NFL slate. There are a number of 1.5, 1 point lines. Could we see some moving numbers? There is one spread running up in the NFC that we will talk about. There's a big game between Philadelphia and the Rams, and there is a massive, massive spread on Thursday night between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, and I cannot wait to get Brady Cannon's thoughts on this game, which has actually seen the number move a little bit in Miami's direction. So much to get to here tonight on Game Time Decisions, but we bring in Coach James Young, as good as it gets, to figure out what do we do in these two games in the W tonight, as well as what is the outlook within the WNBA futures market. It's a busy one here. We're live on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Donnie, the season is 6 months, 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month, that is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. The Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at it through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls in anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Pages. Let's get lucky.
Game Time Decisions with you here on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh now joined by Coach James Young, host of the Betting Above the Rim podcast right here on SportsGrid. And during this busy time with a lot of football talk, obviously, if you're looking for hoops, you head over to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. But on a Tuesday with WNBA playoff action, JY, we have some time here. We got a couple of good games.
We do, Kevin. Obviously, quadruple header on Sunday to start the playoffs. Obviously, all four favorites winning, including Liberty on the road. So now we have game number 2. You have two teams that are staving off elimination, and we'll see if any of them can extend their series.
I don't know. I don't know if they can, JY. I'm wondering what you think. I'm gonna go out of order if I may.
Yeah.
And I know that might be bad of me, but you know why I'm doing it.
They're hot like fish grease.
JY, before you even tell me your picks for tonight's game, where are you on Vegas? So JY knows this, because of all, the work we do together, but I'll catch anybody up. Vegas was my preseason pick to win the title. I thought they were the best team in the W. I thought they presented great value. I gave up on them 3 or 4 times in season. They would suck me back in. I'd give up on them. They would, right? And then I was done. And then they started to rip off a couple wins, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then they won a couple of more, and I'm like, Coach, he's like, don't do it. You said you wouldn't do it. And then they kept winning, and then both of us were like, all right, something's going on here. And now, Joey, I'm all the way back. I think they are the best team in the WNBA. With all the respect to the Lynx, I am so impressed. To win 16 in a row is one thing. To then show up for the first game of the playoffs and house a good Seattle team, in my opinion. What do you make of Vegas right now?
They are, I don't know if they're the best team in the W, but
Okay.
they are by far playing the best. And that's sometimes the most important thing is maybe, for you guys, you young guys, go look up, the rope-a-dope. Like maybe they're Muhammad Ali, and they're just like, psh, we just got to get to the playoffs, and then we're going to be ready to roll. So they've been great. We've talked about it. Melissa Smith into the starting lineup. Asia Wilson playing like the bona fide best player in the world. The point guard being the point guard. Jackie Young being the jack of all trades. Jewel Lloyd coming off the bench and leading that second unit. They are literally, they went from a team that looked like a hot mess to literally every player playing at the peak of their game all at the same time. And that is scary.
I agree. So tell me then, JY, what are you betting in tonight's game between Vegas and Seattle?
I'm going over. I'm going over 161.5 because here's the thing. Vegas's offense is ridiculous, right? It was a 102.77 when that game got to 179. It's 161.5 shop around. Even if Vegas regresses a little bit, Kevin, they're getting to 90. They're getting to 90. Mm-hmm. So if it's a 90 to 75 game, I'm over. So to me, their offense is that good. I think they're that hard to stop. I think we'll get a better game out of Seattle, more competitive game. Maybe they try and slow it down. I don't think they can. But to me, I like Vegas is going to win. I don't know about they cover, but I love the over because I just think the offensive firepower on both teams is apparent.
Is there a prop or two, JY, that stood out to you when breaking this matchup down?
Oh, the point guard. The point guard, because it's easy to go.
You've been talking about this too, Sergeant, but I feel like you've done a really good job explaining to people. Aja gets all the headlines, and she deserves them. She's probably going to win league MVP. Jackie Young is great, but you've done a really good job explaining to people that Chelsea Gray also getting back and completing this big three has been just as important.
Yes, and I think because of Jewel Lloyd going to the bench, because Jewel Lloyd is such a, this, Kev, she's such a ball-dominant guard. The ball sticks. That's why she's great with the second unit. But when you really think about it, you peel back and you think about the point guard and how she has played, right? She's gone over, I think, in 3 of her last 5 games. You peel back deeper, you look at head-to-head matchups. I think it's 5 out of her last 7. The one game she missed this season, she missed by the hook. And you look at the fact that if I think there's going to be points, someone's got to get these girls the ball. And I like Chelsea Gray in this spot, a Seattle Storm team that is 5th giving up an assist, but this is Vegas. This is a team that's just rolling. I like the point guard. I think 5.5 assists. I think that's a low number.
It certainly could be. JY, fever dream. I stumbled right into that. Indiana and Atlanta. What stands out to you from a side in this one?
That this game, there was a blowout, Kevin, on Sunday. But it was close going into the 4th quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this game, if there's a series that goes 3, I mean, you could say Phoenix because Phoenix has beaten the Liberty twice, but those were without Jonquel Jones. That's why I think the Liberty will win out, even if Stewie doesn't play. Because I think South DuSable is also not herself. I look at the Fever and saying, I think if there's a team that could pull an upset and win game 2 as an underdog, I think it's them. I'm not going to take them on the money line. I take the points. I think there's tons of point scoring. I think they close it out. They keep it close because of their ability to shoot. With props, Alicia Gray over 16.5 points. She's probably guarded by Kelsey Mitchell. She's going. Kelsey Mitchell's going to guard obviously Alicia Gray. Alicia Gray drives. Who leaves open? Ryan Howard, shooter, over 2.5 made threes. So Ryan Howard over 2.5 made threes. Alicia Gray over 16.5 points. But I'm going to take the 4.5. I think this is a really good tight game.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to run up against the break here. All right, we come back. I want to get Coach's thoughts on this Wednesday action because, man, what a win that was for the Liberty in overtime. Stewie maybe misses the game. Line kind of says she will. What does that mean? The Lynx still dominant. We'll talk about that. Also, I haven't said it yet. I'll get Coach's thoughts on my best bet, which does come from the W tonight. Curious what he makes of that. Don't forget, we still got lots to come here. We're going to get involved with this baseball board. We're going to talk a little NFL as well. Game time decisions. It's on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I'm screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
You know, the cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. They're not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets. Right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. You know, he can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. You know, that should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions live on a Tuesday night on SportsGrid. Major League Baseball board has a couple off and running. Paul Skeens getting hit early by the Chicago Cubs. A couple of walks, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. Bases are loaded, but 2 out, so he could work out of it here early. Does flip Chicago to legit favorites in this one. Cade Horton has the ball tonight for the Cubs. We're underway in a couple of other spots. We'll get to those. My best bet tonight, though, is from the WNBA slate. We're still joined by Coach James Young right here on Game Time Decisions, again, host of the Betting Above the Rim podcast. JY, before we get to the Liberty, my best bet tonight, I'm wondering what you think. You're always honest with me. I love the Fever team total over 77.5. I think we're getting a nice discount here. They didn't play great offensively in the first game, so we get a bounce back. And they're home, where since the All-Star break, so this removes any Caitlin Clark stuff, 91 points per game. At home, they scored at least 80 in all 10 of them. I like the over. Team total tonight for the Fever. Our guys got in the mix as well. Sam played any team to win by 20 tonight at plus 220, which isn't bad. Koski with a little baseball special. Mariners and Royals each to score 3 at even money. JY, what do you think about the Fever tonight and their team total?
I love it. That's why I took the points. I think they're going to be in the game, and they shoot the ball, Kevin, extremely well at home. So I think that 3 ball is going to be rocking. And like we talked about before, Kev, they were in the game the first 3 quarters. The wheels fell off in the fourth quarter against Atlanta.
Yep.
I think they're going to struggle to guard. I think this is going to be bing, bing, bing. It's going to be back and forth. That's why I like to take the points, but I also agree with you that the over team total for the Indiana Fever should be in play.
All right, JY, tomorrow we have the Liberty and the Mercury. And look, schedules are always moving around, so I can't be certain we're going to have JY tomorrow, so I want to be able to at least ask him about this today. Because, JY, there's a lot of uncertainty within this basketball game. You know, when you get to the playoffs, books are going to post numbers, -3, -2.5. That tells me they're uncertain, leaning to no on Breanna Stewart playing in this game. What do you make of this matchup now at the Liberty and the Mercury?
It's a huge matchup, and I think this is where you have to look at Emma Messman. So if you think that Stewie's not going to play, remember, they took an MRI, no structural damage. Listen, you know this, Kevin. I know people in the league. I'm connected. She don't look good. Anybody that's a coach, I mean, you as a basketball fan and observer, you know ball. You watched her play Sunday. She don't look right. And that look in overtime where she looked like she was in tears, there's no bounce. There's no lift with Stewie right now. So it's dangerous. That's why you get on Emma Messman now. Because this is one reason why you brought her in. For protection for Jonquel. For protection for Stewie. Emma Messman should be a play because I think her and Jonquel can play together. That game becomes extremely dangerous. Natasha Cloud, huge game. And think about this, folks. The Liberty were 2.5-point favorites on the road with Stewie. It's the same line in there at home.
Yeah.
You usually get 2.5 points baked in. That means the Liberty should be 5.5 to 6.5 point favorites at home. They're 2.5. That tells you don't expect Stewie to play tomorrow night.
For the Lynx, JY, I don't mean to look past the Valkyries, but Minnesota is much better. They're laying double digits on the road. For the Lynx, would they be a bigger favorite in your estimation against the Mercury or the Liberty without Breanna Stewart?
I think there'd be a bigger favorite against the Liberty without Stewie.
Okay.
Because I just think about the fact that, of what they are. And the Liberty are such a crazy team because they've been battling with injuries for so long. The problem right now with Phoenix, and it's another person I've seen play and grow up and watch her practice and work out. Satu Sabli she don't look right either. There's a lot of players that don't look right. The physicality at times don't look right as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's why, because of their health and how they're playing and their championship pedigree and they're one of the best coaches in the league, that's why the Aces, to me, are really still of value to come out because of the fact that the other side of the bracket has 3 of the other 4 best teams.
Oh, JY, I'm excited. I am excited.
I literally just, boom! I just put it out there.
But,
I put it out there, and you're there.
I will do this because probably it might be the last time. Tonight, in the Aces Storm game, Dominique Malanga, maybe the final game of her rookie season. Listen, I don't know what we can bet on next year for her in year number 2, but I'm going to be lurking. I am going to be lurking. JY and I have been talking about that one throughout the year. Coach, appreciate it. We've got our guy, Craig Mish, helping us through the world of baseball, really all of South Beach next.
That's Craig Mish?
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I've screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
You know, the cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. They're not asking a lot, top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5, they've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets, right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. You know, he can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. You know, that should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this. If he stays healthy, hell, just give me 15 games. And I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions back with you on a Tuesday night. There is plenty happening, so we bring in someone that we can talk to a lot of different things about. One and only Craig Michigan. You can catch Craig every single day here on SportsGrid, well, Monday through Friday on Newswire. And Craig, your South Beach connections, while primarily we associate with the Marlins, I imagine they run a little bit deeper, at least, just your sense of things. So if I may, we have a Miami Dolphins game this Thursday, and it feels that if they lose embarrassingly, it's a 12.5-point spread, it could be Mike McDaniel's last game. I am curious your current read on the Dolphins situation.
I think that it's a fair assumption to speculate on. They did fire Joe Philbin. Same owner fired Joe Philbin as head coach after 3 losses. They do have 10 days to prepare for their next game after this one on Thursday. So I think, Kevin, a lot of that does line up. But I do think that at least from a media perspective and fans' perspective, the bigger question is what happens with their general manager, Chris Greer, who at times did a really good job, I thought, drafting and acquiring personnel. But he's now been a part of this a really long time, and usually the GM is attached to the quarterback. It's just kind of how things work. And Kevin, they've spent a lot of time telling us that Tua is good, and and they wouldn't even win games sometimes. But like, no, but Tua is still good. I mean, at this point, it's kind of looking like that's not going to work out. So
yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen, but at the end of the season, like when you start 0-2, what is the hope at the end of the year? Is it getting somehow to 8 wins? Is it getting to 9 wins? I mean, this is not the Chiefs we're talking about here. So remains to be seen, but there is speculation and alluding to what you're talking about. Yes, that's correct.
And what is so fascinating, though, about the Dolphins, Craig, to just stay here for a second, while week 1 was awful, there was at least a level of vindication in that the Denver defense, which projects to be really good, also didn't force a Colts punt. The loss to New England, a tough pill to swallow. Tua threw for 300 yards. They weren't, ran off the field. Again, if you lose to Buffalo big, that's going to happen to a number of teams. I'll tell you this, Craig. I've known this since the second I saw the line. I'm not worried about it moving out of range. I will be betting on the Dolphins against the spread over double digits against the Buffalo Bills. Look, could they get destroyed? It's possible, but it feels like it's gone a little far. The vibes around the situation are bad. I was curious what you thought when you saw, this well over double-digit spread.
Well, generally speaking, there's a few common themes betting on the National Football League. One of them would be betting a home underdog. Another one would be betting a Monday night home underdog. And then a third one would be just taking the points when it's 10 or above.
Yeah.
The only thing that has me a little weird, Kevin, and look, I don't know that this is going to change, but I could have sworn going into the season that this was not going to be a continuation in sports betting in the NFL from last year where all the favorites won, and it's happening again here. Like, I mean, it's sort of shocking to me. I would think that that's going to normalize at some point. Otherwise, we're going to start to see, no point spreads basically, be less than what you're seeing right there on Thursday night, because they're going to have to set the numbers really high. But my inclination would probably be the same. But, the one thing that I would add to this conversation is my greater concern would be the Patriots defense. My gosh,
Sure.
The Raiders looked awful last night. They tore apart New England in the first game for almost 3/4. The Dolphins tore them apart. The only thing the Dolphins do well, Kevin, is throw the ball, essentially over the middle, right? Like, they have not been able to connect with these guys. And all of a sudden they started connecting with everyone. It's not something we've seen the Dolphins do in like 9 months. So I'm not going to read into that offensive performance too much from Miami. Start betting overs with the Patriots. It's crazy that it's Vrabel we're talking about here, but they could not adjust to Miami's offense. That's scary for me.
It's a really good point, and it's hard to imagine Christian Gonzalez is the difference between what we've seen and what was expected. So it's certainly something to keep an eye on. Next week they play Pittsburgh, and they actually opened as home underdogs in that football game. If I can stay in your neck of the woods, Craig, you know the Florida Gators football program really well. They play the Miami Hurricanes this weekend in a game that it'll probably take a lot of stomach, or perhaps it'll take a lack of brains to bet Florida this weekend. I say those things because I can tell that I am very anxious to bet Florida this weekend. These were two teams that were supposed to be somewhat equal coming into the year. It's now a 7.5-point spread because of what the first 3 games of the season have produced. What is your early read on a little, in-state battle here?
I try to read things a little bit differently maybe than most when it comes to these sort of things. And I go back to like coaches or week before, like I mentioned, the Patriots. I don't know, Kevin, if you saw Brian Kelly's post game after the LSU ended up beating Florida. It seemed like he was really upset. Like, the questions that he was being asked were like, guy, like, the Gators played their worst their worst offense you could ever possibly imagine. The guy threw 5 interceptions. You guys like barely won that game. So I think that does tell me a little bit that the Gators could remain in this game. But I think that they're going to play so conservative now because there's going to be no trust in DJ Lagway after throwing 5 interceptions. Miami's not going to beat everybody by 30, 40 points. Historically speaking, they get off to these hot starts. Then all of a sudden they start playing a lot of close games. But I am not the right person to ask. I'm a Gator. I'm so biased with this stuff, and hard to see them here in my home city. A lot of people think I root for the Hurricanes, which I don't. I root for the Gators, not against the Hurricanes, but I graduated from the University of Florida. Once I went there, and I did go to a lot of Hurricanes games back in the day. I became a Florida Gator. I'll never look back from there.
DJ Lagway, I still think there's talent there. I know he threw 5 picks, but I don't know. I think I somewhat like that. Billy Napier let him stay out there and keep throwing. It was a fascinating game against LSU. Craig, let me just ask you this quickly with the baseball before we let you go, and I appreciate you making some time for us here. The Mets situation is so fascinating because it feels like we've been talking about a collapse for like a month that still actually hasn't happened. Do you actually think they are going to fall out of the playoff race and one of these, Arizona, since someone is going to overtake them and grab that final wild card spot?
I think we're at the point where we would know. I think some team would be getting hot right now down the stretch, and with the Mets falling apart, I don't know that a ton of teams jumped up and grabbed it. The Reds fell back a little bit. Credit to the Giants, who were so good in April and then since then just kind of fell apart. Now they're back in it again. I think the Mets will get in, but it is fascinating that they'll play the Marlins here the last 3 games of the season. And I know without a doubt that the Marlins are going to line up Sandy Alcantara and Yuri Perez and their top guys to try and beat the Mets. They're not going to want them to celebrate on their home turf. But I do think most of the postseason is set. The AL West and some of what's going on out there, I think that still is TBD, especially with the Yordan Alvarez news today. But I do think the Mets will get in. It's a horrible stretch, just at a bad time.
I'll be honest with you guys. I try and stay on top of things, and I don't ever like to parade that I don't know things. Craig just broke the news to me that Yordan Alvarez is injured. That's great.
He's out for the year. Sounds like it.
Awesome. What a season it's been defending that organization of all organizations. Craig, really appreciate it as always. We'll be back on Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Donnie, the season is 6 months, 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month. That is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's the Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with obviously Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Pages. Let's get lucky.
Game Time Decisions with you right here on a Tuesday night. We will set everything up. We're going to do Kevin 7 in just a second. I just want to acknowledge this baseball board a little bit more early, okay? Cubs up 2-1 on the Pirates, which means Pittsburgh grabbed one back. That is a Yerfie. We usually, we like to check in on these quickly here. Cleveland grabs the lead against Detroit, but that was a Nerfie. Nobody scored in that opening inning. And Boston is now threatening against the A's at home, but still scoreless. Mets-Padres is underway. I kept it light on the baseball board tonight, leaned under the 8, but did not play it. I did do a little two-man weave, hit-run RBI 2+ on George Springer for Toronto, Aaron Judge for the Yankees. Judge is hot as can be. Ryan Pepio, I think, could get hit tonight by the Blue Jays. Springer at the forefront of it. So I put those guys together on the baseball board. Just a couple of other thoughts. Mariners have won 9 in a row. Logan Gilbert, though, like, weirdly has been untrustworthy this season. Like, that line might look light. I think it's understandable going up against Waka. I know, Rockies, Marlins. That game feels like it's going to have a gazillion runs in it. It's a total of 10. No way Kyle Freeland keeps it up. Yuri Perez has actually been a little shakier more recently than not. I wouldn't be surprised if that game isn't over. And it feels like a big-time Dodger spot. Shohei on the mound against Chris Sanchez. The Phillies just clinched the division last night. Dodgers at home off a loss. Maybe a touch expensive. Maybe you want to pair it with something, but the Dodgers jumped off the page a little bit to me tonight. Let's talk Super Bowl. Let's talk Kevin 7. So here's the deal. 2 weeks into the season, I think it's fair to say we have at least 7 teams whose Super Bowl chances are over. Some people would say you can't do that after 2 weeks. Other people would say we knew these 7 teams were cooked before the year started. I would say to this camp, we've now been given confirmation. Even if I agree with you, it felt that way on some of these teams. There are right now 10 teams who are 0-2. Every team on this list is 0-2. These are the 7 teams through 2 weeks who have already been eliminated from the Super Bowl picture. First, the Cleveland Browns, who I believe were the worst team coming into this season. The Cleveland Browns are absolutely done. The Cleveland Browns, it felt like were hanging with Baltimore in a game they lost 41-17. Flacco was benched college style because of the blowout. Dylan Gabriel comes in, throws a touchdown pass. We'll be seeing more of that as this season goes on. I'll add this. The Myles Garrett DPOY price is nuts. He is not winning this award on this bad of a team. I think he's the best defensive player in the league. The only way he wins it is if he breaks the sack record. That's what Myles Garrett would need to do. Ask your book, FanDuel, DraftKings, Fanatics, I don't care, ESPN Bet, post the Myles Garrett breaks the single-season sack record prop. That's better off than his DPOY price, truly. The Saints, your Super Bowl chances are over. And it's funny because you've actually somehow been hanging a chance to win or tie in the final 2 minutes of the football game in both of the games. And yet you're 0-2 against the number, and it feels like this might be as good as it gets. The Saints might be scrappy. I thought they could get over their lower win total of, I believe, what was 4.5, and they still might. They still might. But a Super Bowl run, that is obviously not going to happen for an 0-2 New Orleans Saints team who's going to Seattle next week and catching over a touchdown. The line says it all. Sam Darnold is a 7.5-point favorite. Maybe I'll bet New Orleans. I don't know, but I know they are not winning the Super Bowl. Tennessee, somewhere a Titans fan or two was thinking, why not us? Jaden Daniels last year, Stroud 2 years ago. What other rookie quarterback could it be? Not your guy. Maybe not his fault, but not your guy. Cam Ward is yet to throw for 200 passing yards in either of the first 2 games. We could say tough defenses in Denver and LA. Sure, though the Broncos looked a little shaky against the Colts. But again, sure. And Cam Ward will get better as the year goes on. But there are no Super Bowl aspirations for Tennessee. Your season in that respect is over. Carolina, hang your heads in shame. This Panther team, my goodness. Now, I shouldn't speak so negatively when they covered the 7 last week in backdoor beautiful fashion. But they are awful again. The defense looks like it'll never be better. And their spread against Atlanta, by the way, next week's running out of control. Open 3.5, it's up to 6, 6.5. If this thing gets to 7, I'm going to have to bet the Panthers again. They may win the ATS Super Bowl. They're not winning the actual Super Bowl. Look, a double-up special here. Sorry, once again, the hometown heroes, not. The Giants and the Jets. And for the Jets, that was obvious. The worst awards price in the market is a 14-1 Aaron Glenn Coach of the Year. In what world? They're not good. They're not making the playoffs. The defense has given up 30 in each of the first 2 games. He's an offensive coach. Stop. That's awful. That's insane. I'll book the Glenn number. That's ridiculous. The Jets are not making, they're not making the playoffs again, but they're certainly not winning the Super Bowl. Is Fields the guy? Those questions right back after 1 week. Russell Wilson complicates things for the Giants. Play great and win the game. That's easy. Play terrible and lose the game. It's Jackson Dart time. Don't throw for 453 touchdowns and then a garbage pick and lose to Dallas. All hope is lost. It's just a weird season. I have people DMing me, Giants fans, saying we're the worst organization in football. Look, have a little respect, please, will you, for the Browns. But you know what? It's not a fun season. It's not. And your Super Bowl chances are done. And this one, well, this is just sad, but if you're the Miami Dolphins, again, legitimately, you're likely going to be firing your head coach if you get routed on Thursday night. Now, I don't think you will. I'm spoiling it now. My best bet for that game will be Miami plus the points. I do not care, and I cannot wait. But the Dolphins have no Super Bowl aspirations. Tyreek Hill might win a Super Bowl this year. The Miami Dolphins will not be winning a Super Bowl this year. And what I say within this segment is a you're welcome to the Houston Texans, the Chicago Bears, and, of course, the 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Because you have not had your Super Bowl chances ended just yet. We'll be right back. It's Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
You know, the cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. They're not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets. Right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. You know, he can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. You know, that should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Visor time decisions. Folks, I am so excited to bet the Dolphins. It is ridiculous. Josh Allen's going to wear a visor for the first time in his NFL career in that game. That's advantage Miami. Can't see it any other way. Josh Allen's going to be trying to touch his eyes. He's going to poke the visor. Could be a crack. Might be multiple Trubisky plays as he tries to adjust to it. You know what, like in the NBA, those guys throw the masks on? Like 3 plays they wear, and then they just throw it off. They're like, I can't do this anymore. Well, Josh is going to have to wear a helmet. They're going to get the screwdriver out. Like, if Buffalo's on it, they're going to need to have a helmet on the sideline for him without a visor. But, I mean, is that checked? Is that certified? You know what? Josh Allen might miss this game. Listen, I don't know. Maybe. We're grabbing points. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to root in this Miami 12.5. Moving to 11.5 in some spots. We'll figure it out. I haven't played it yet. I'm waiting for the boost. We're going to flip them on, and then we'll set it all up. But I know I'm going to be on Miami. Okay? We just did our Kevin 7 Super Bowl chances are done. All right? I do want to, do a little snapshot here of the bottom of this league and the top of this league through 2 weeks, okay? Let's start at the bottom. We have 10 teams who are 0-2. This tweet comes courtesy of John Ewing, who says that in the 5 seasons since the NFL has expanded to a 14-team playoff, 12% of teams that start 0-2 have reached the playoffs. So the math on that mostly is one of these teams is going to make the playoffs, okay? Maybe 2 if you want to be generous, but probably just 1. Now, how many of these teams did we already think were missing, right? Panthers, Saints, Titans, Browns, right? Jets. These are teams that were large in everybody thought they were out on. Giants probably 2. I'm probably being a little, I thought they had a legit chance. Maybe they do. It would be really surprising, okay? The Dolphins, we see how that's dropping. Remove them, right? You really bring in these 3 teams that did not make Kevin 7, which would be Kansas City, Chicago, and Houston. And while I think that this Chiefs stuff is concerning, I don't think their season is over. I think Mahomes still is incredibly talented. I think it is time for their offense to be... I think the Chiefs need to find a way to lead the league in average depth of target for a little while now. Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, go. Win on aggregate. I think they need to up their aggressiveness and try and start leading early. Stop trying to win on the margins like they did all of last season. If the Chiefs make it, it would say Bears-Texans, not going to happen. And it's interesting how that lands. If you were in on Chicago, and I was, that's tough because that's 2 straight years this team was, right knocking on the door of minus money or at minus money to make the playoffs, and they're not going to. Now, I know it's only Ben Johnson's first season. I know it's only the second season of Caleb Williams, but those expectations are there, and I, as somebody who thought they would live up to them, are warranted. Maybe they'll just mitch out. Maybe they'll turn it around. They have a huge game against Dallas on Sunday. For the Texans, though, that was a minus money make team that I know I was out on. I could not get there as it pertained to that football team because they punted on offensive line, and you saw it last night, and I don't think you can punt on O-line and be fine. As good as the defense is, I'm a C.J. Stroud guy. I just don't think it can be fine. Chiefs are probably the only team that make the playoffs from this group. Though, in a way, what a bright light that is for Kansas City, because it is so easy to talk yourself out of the other 9 teams. Here, maybe, though, the more interesting one. In 5 seasons since the NFL expanded, again from John Ewing, 14-team playoff, teams that have started 2-0 make the postseason 79% of the time. Let's round up. Clean 80%. 10 2-0 teams. A lot of people will say, oh, these guys are all in. They're all in. That tells me 2 of these teams are not making it. Now, a few of these teams, you go, okay, they're definitely going to be there. Buffalo, Philly, Packers, Chargers, Bucks. That's about half of them. Niners, Rams, Cardinals, all same division. Bengals and Colts. Now, I would be throwing Cincinnati in the obvious making it group, if not for Burrow. When you look at this list, the Burrow injury, which we've told you yesterday through the lens of the Pro Football Doc, he thinks is more season-ending than 3-month absence. Okay, if we move Cincinnati, is it as simple as getting Indianapolis out of here? Or is it one of those NFC West teams? That would be, that's the 5 that I would focus on, right, from a potential fade perspective. All things we'll be talking about when Brady Cannon joins the show, looking at these Week 3 spreads next on Game Time Decisions.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I've screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1, a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
You know, the cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. It's not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5, they've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets, right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. You know, he can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. You know, that should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this. If he stays healthy, hell, just give me 15 games. And I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, some quick updates here. Game time decisions. We've got the upcoming game between the Fever and the Atlanta Dream. I am on an Indiana team total over 77.5 for a best bet tonight. They have scored 91 points per game at home since the All-Star break. All of those games without Caitlin Clark, at least 80 in all 10 of those games. I think we're getting a nice spot here to bet them in a bounce back. Spread's been dropping. Total's been climbing. So I think that is the best way to back it. Sam took for a 20-point blowout. Either one of these games, plus 220. You're getting really 4 teams, minus 19.5, looking to hit one for profit. That's how he's going to play it. And then it's a Mariners-Royals each to score 3 for Chris for a best bet tonight. Baseball board, the first thing that just jumps out is it is 5-0 Mets at the end of the first inning. Boy, do they need things like that to start to stack to hold off all of these pushes. As we do, though, on a Tuesday on Game Time Decisions, we bring in our guy Brady Cannon to talk some Week 3 lines. Early look ahead again. I know these drop Sunday night, and they move a little bit, but I think it's actually a bit better that we get to see some of those early moves and figure out where things are going to land. Brady, general overview. Did the Week 3 slate surprise you? Did it speak to you, excite you?
I think it's a great week for ugly dogs, Kevin. You know, we've got 2 weeks under our belt, and I think opinions are being formed about some of these teams, who's really lousy and who's really good. And I think it's still early to, put that label on anybody. Now, as the season goes along, we'll see what happens. But, the old adage, no one's as bad as their worst game and no one's as good as their best game. It's probably somewhere in the middle. And I think you've got a lot of those situations this week where you've got some juicy favorites playing these little sisters of the poor. And it might be a hold your nose week and take these big stinky dogs, because I think the general public is going to storm to the window on some of these favorites, I believe.
Well, then let's just get this one right out of the way with Buffalo and Miami. And
exactly the scenario we're talking about.
And I mean it so genuinely. I am so excited for this game that I did some of the segment already with Brady in the break, and I would say the difference between some of the early process of Brady and I is Brady makes his number. I just try and guess the number, right? And, different strokes for different folks, but you're ultimately trying to get to the same thing. So I was thinking about, what is this going to be? And I was way off. I said, man, if this is over a touchdown, I'll have to consider Miami, and if it's 10, I would sprint. And what's next in my notes are a bunch of expletives, Brady, because I couldn't believe it was 12.5. That's the same number Baltimore laid to Cleveland, the Browns. Yeah. So I was stunned. You not as much.
No, I was actually a little, I made it 14.
That's wild to me.
When I saw that it opened up at 12.5, I was like, oh, I think the books or the odds makers anyway, maybe you're kind of seeing it like I am. Like I wanted to bet the Dolphins and especially at I don't think 12.5 is a bad bet. Second straight division game for the Buffalo Bills. You know, they're looking like world beaters, and Miami really has that label of what we were talking about, that, you know, people just believe they're awful. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but you know, that point spread is probably inflated because of this public perception. You know, it's a David versus Goliath looking matchup here. And I would take David because I think the point spread is a little bit inflated on Goliath. And hey, this is not Orchard Park in December. Miami's catching a little bit of a break here with decent weather.
Yeah.
I believe that they improved from week 1 to week 2. And now, again, a division opponent here for the second straight week in a row for the Dolphins as well. It'll be, again, the ugly duckling, hold your nose play, but I would take the points before I laid it.
Now, to, again, step back from that big-time number, there was another spread that surprised me a little bit, but in a sense reverted back to kind of more what I was expecting. San Francisco and Arizona. I understand it's Mac Jones. They won that football game. Offense looked well, solid against New Orleans. If I think, Brady, if I'm not mistaken, this started actually Arizona -1.5 and reverted back to the Niners -1.5. What did you make of this NFC West battle?
Yeah, you could be right. I'm not positive. I just look at what my friend Chris Andrews opens it up here at the South Point in Las Vegas. I trust his opinion. He had a show for many years where he would talk about what number he was going to open it at. And, you know, I just took a liking to the way he operates. So I use what his opening number was. I guessed 49ers -2.5. Chris opened it up 49ers -1. And, I think that's kind of where we're at right now. It was a little bit of the fallen hero theory last week, with Mac Jones inserted into the lineup. You knew that defense was going to step up, and they really did. Robert Saleh has been an absolute godsend coming back to this defensive side of the ball for San Francisco. He's maybe the early season MVP right now, he and Nick Bosa. But now reality sets in. And the fact is, you don't have Brock Purdy, and it is Mac Jones. And I know he did okay, but now you've got a different opponent, too. You've got the Arizona Cardinals, not only a good opponent, but a division opponent. I mean, last week was the Saints, and we know about the Saints. So I think Arizona would be the side I'm looking at here. The line is probably about right, Kevin. 49ers win this game by 1. Arizona wins this game by 1. It's basically a coin flip, right? So I think whoever's getting 1.5 or whatever it is, you tease them up. I think that's the play here. In this case, it would be Arizona tease to +7.5, and you find a dance partner with that one. But I think this is a different scenario this week. Last week, I really liked the Niners. I was on them. I laid the 3 points successfully. This week, I'd be leaning more towards Arizona.
Yeah, I thought I think it was like the FanDuel started at 1.5. I thought the Niners, like you, actually would be like 2.5. I didn't think it would get to a 3 because of Mac Jones. That was a little bit surprising. I'm going to throw one at you, Brady, and Brady's going to be with us here, so we're going to be able to go through a lot of these games. Betting the Chiefs would rarely you'd be able to describe as ugly. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy here, but I don't know how many people are going to be desperate to lay it with Kansas City. But this line looks like it continues to tick up in the Chiefs' direction. What do you make of their Sunday nighter against the G-Men?
It's really interesting. And there's a lot of ways to try and handicap how the general public is going to react here.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, first of all, are a very public team, have been in the Patrick Mahomes era, because all they do is win. They don't necessarily always cover, but they win a lot of football games, and the public runs to the window. Again, I go back to my friend Chris Andrews. He says you never have to beg for Chiefs money. But now the Chiefs look awful, right? They're 0-2 for the first time in Mahomes' career in the NFL. The Giants played a pretty darn good game last week, put up all kinds of offense on the Dallas Cowboys last week. So I wonder if the majority will be backing the Giants here, getting points. It's like, boy, I'm not going to lay that many points with the Chiefs. They're awful. Yeah, it might be the time to lay the points with the Chiefs. I haven't gone there yet. I made the number 4.5, which, kind of leans towards the Giants in my thinking, right? But the situation could be the time to back Patrick Mahomes. It can be good for them to get away from home without the boo birds, and the pressure of being in Arrowhead. Probably one I'll stay away from, but a lot of different narratives you can kind of concoct on how this one, what the betting public and, the tendencies might be here.
But Brady, I feel like from what you said there, I think kind of mirrors some of how I felt, where I also feel like I'll probably stay away. But there's a part of me that's like, there is a right answer, right? One of these teams is going to cover, and it's probably Kansas City. It feels like one of those games that they kick the field goal.
Is Jackson Dart going to play? Is Jackson Dart is he the starter now? Did I see that? Was that
I don't
fake
think
news
so.
Or what? Okay.
I think it'll stay. I think it'll stay Russ, but the line has been moving. We're going to stick with Brady. Update you on the live board. Game time decisions on a Tuesday night.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I've screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
The cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. They're not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets. Right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. He can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. That should have been picked off there. It seems like passes he did complete were for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really. He's going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're off and running with the WNBA playoff action tonight. Indiana and Atlanta is live right now. We will get late night action between Vegas and Seattle. We've got the Major League Baseball board start. Brady, you're out there, so I'll tell you. So Vegas was my pick before the season to win the championship. I thought that they were the most talented team. Well, no, here's the thing, Brady. I didn't cash out or anything, but I quit on them about 100 times in season. They looked so terrible, but they have been so impressive. How could you not be during a 16-game win streak, 17 with the playoff win? I'm all the way bought back in. Like, I am now expecting this team at minimum to be in the championship.
I would think so, man. They're the hottest team in the league right now. Like you say, 17 wins in a row. This is a two-time champion. Missed out last year, looking to go back again and get there again this year. I would say it's absolutely difficult to go against them. It's been really exciting to see this run that they've been on. And then me being a Golden State Warrior fan, I've really had fun with the Valkyries. That's an exciting team that came out of nowhere that really made a nice run this year too.
Yeah, Golden State catching 10 tomorrow against Minnesota. A tough spot. We'll see how they manage. So, Brady, we talked, Mac Jones, we know that's going to be the quarterback, right? Last week we weren't sure. We saw how that line moved. How are you handling Minnesota-Cincinnati with dual backup quarterbacks expected now in this game?
Yeah, that one is wild. And the one thing about Minnesota is they are so banged up. And it's not just McCarthy. Their offensive line is really a mess. They've got players missing on defense. I mean, they might be the team that is suffering the most from injury right now in the entire league. And then on the other side, I know you have the big guy, Joe Burrow, down.
Yep.
But Browning is a pretty good backup. And I was on Jacksonville last week. I mean, how in the world do you have a 14-7 lead when Burrow gets knocked out of the game? Browning throws 3 interceptions, and not only do you lose, but you do not cover. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a tough one to swallow. But we talk about that fallen hero theory. The rest of the team rallies when their star is gone. I think that's very possible this week for the Bengals. And because Minnesota is such a walking wounded, what did I make this one? I made this one Vikings 2.5, and I know it opened 4, but it's come down, and I don't know if that's reaction to possible quarterback change in Minnesota. But I would be wanting to take the points with the Bengals. 2.5, and I've seen it at 2.5 in certain shops. That's another great number to tease up to plus 8.5 on the Vikings. I think somehow I want to be, the Bengals. I think somehow I want to be on the Bengals here.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think Wentz is better than Browning, but I wouldn't take issue if somebody said the other way, because Wentz hasn't really been playing in a number of years, and Browning at least is out there, honestly, right? Is what it comes down to. It's a very interesting game. The one thing is, and this doesn't factor in too much of this. I mean, it does a little bit. It's an important game because if you're Cincinnati, it's a tough stretch of games you're going to be playing where you got to just stack wins. A backup quarterback is an opportunity for Cincinnati, but if you're Minnesota, I mean, you lose to Jake Browning, it's kind of sky is falling situation, which is interesting. And I want to take Jacksonville, who you mentioned, Brady, just because it's one of the most interesting spots I think we have on this slate with Jacksonville and Houston, where the Jags can bury the Texans, in my opinion. I mean, you push that team down to 0-3. If you're Jacksonville, you're 2-1, already grab a head-to-head. Colts are 2-0. Who knows? Maybe they go to 3-0. They play an important game against the Tennessee Titans. But for the Jags, it's not as much about what it would do for them. I really feel like they would be burying Houston with a win. I know the Cincinnati loss was tough, but I think they've looked better than Houston. That's me at least. Just a 1.5 number. What do you make of that AFC South battle?
It could be a good spot to jump on your train there and back Jacksonville. And that's the side I'm leaning to for sure. And it could be better in the fact that they lost last week. If they came into this game at 2-0, they're feeling pretty fat and happy. They're favored here by 3 points instead of 1. Then it gets a little scary. I think Jacksonville in the role of an underdog is very enticing. Now, in week 1, they were a favorite and they covered, but that was against the Panthers. A little bit different animal here. But this Texans team has not looked very good at all. The defense is pretty solid. but offensively, they are really struggling. CJ Stroud doesn't have all of his weapons, and the offensive line is a real disaster, and they can't run the ball. I mean, Nick Chubb basically didn't run the ball very well at all last night, except for one play when the seas opened up there and he made it through, and and he rushed for a touchdown and what have you. But I think this Texans team is a real struggle right now. The offensive line is a real problem. I like Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen is definitely coaching up Trevor Lawrence. He is doing much better. He's trying to simplify the game for him. The biggest problem Jacksonville has right now, his receivers are dropping the ball. We saw Brian Robinson Jr. drop it right in front of the goal line last week, cost him the ball game. That's something I think you can fix. That comes with a week of practice. Hey, catch the ball, guys. These are professionals. I think that can change. So yeah, I'd be leaning towards Jacksonville there as well.
I agree. I actually think it's one of these, like Jacksonville. So the Texans have so much on the line you can't go 0-3. The Jags have like all of their vibes are on the line. Where Liam Cohen's like, hit the guy in the chest. And then Brian Thomas is like, no, don't throw it to me. And it's just, there's a lot happening in Jacksonville. It's going to be really, really fun to follow. We always check in with Brady on Friday, so we will do exactly that. Ryder Cup getting close too, Brady.
Yeah, gosh, this guy Scheffler. How about this guy? I mean, are you kidding me?
I know.
I looked, I wasn't even paying attention. JJ Spawn was my guy. He wasn't going to come back and win. I thought Griffin had it in the bag. I look up and I go, oh my God, he did it again. Unbelievable, man.
Give him a lot of credit.
The problem with the Ryder Cup is one guy can't win that thing. He can only play a few matches, and the last time they played in Europe, he didn't do so well. So I lean a little bit towards the Europe side on that one.
I think the line's been moving towards the U.S. too. It's probably just the power of Scotty. Brady, we appreciate it as always. We get you the final picks of the night on Game Time Decisions after this break.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I've screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
The cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. It's not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8, but the 9 to 12. I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets. Right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. He can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. That should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We close it out with you on a Tuesday night. Coming up, it's going to be in-game live with Gabriel Morency and Scott Wetzel, who will have you covered throughout this slate. Both bet the WNBA. Both do it very well, so they'll be locked in for Atlanta and Indiana, and, of course, covering you for Seattle and Vegas. They'll be plugged into this Major League Baseball board as well. Let's give you some updates on this Major League Baseball board. I mentioned the Springer Judge 2+ hit run RBI. Each guy actually got it done in the first inning, which was nice to see. Yankees lead 2-0 on Minnesota. Blue Jays up 1-0 on Tampa Bay. To keep it with the AL East, you have Boston leading the A's. I want to say Oakland. So annoying. Just pick your spot already. The A's 1-0. Mets shot this thing up 7-2. Now, a lot of home runs in this game. My goodness, how many home runs here? We've got 5 home runs. Beatty, Merrill, Lindor, Alonso, and Cronenworth between these two teams. It is a Dinger Tuesday if you played home runs. Hopefully you played it in Mets-Padres and cashed some tickets. 3-1, Cubby Stup on the Pirates. Skeens actually went 92 pitches. Only 3 2/3 innings, land 6 Ks. You sneak out the under if you played it. I know that was 7.5 expensive, but 6.5 you were getting it at plus money. So that's another under on the Paul Skeens strikeouts. How many more starts for this guy in this NL Cy Young? I mean, I think it's over. One more start, probably. It's probably his last home start, because then they're going to be on the road, Cincy and Atlanta. So, man, if you're Cincy, could you not take a dive, but, like, could you just push him back to the Braves as you try and hang in this race here? 2-1, Cleveland is up on Detroit. Milwaukee scores first and makes that a Yerfie in their game against the Angels. Wow, a lot of runs early here. White Sox 2-0 on Baltimore. Yerfie. Mariners 2-0 on Royals. Yerfie. Shout out to J-Rod. Went over his season-long home run prop a little bit ago. I haven't checked in. He got up to 30. Wow. I think his number was 25.5, which we played towards the over. And then you get a 1-0 St. Louis lead on Cincinnati. So that's where the baseball board sits. The WNBA playoff game right now. Let me pull this up here quickly. 20-14 at the end of one. 1.5-point favorite for the Fever. They do flip to favorites at the end of that opening quarter. Kelsey Mitchell still getting it done. She's got 2 made threes and leads all scorers with 8. Dream haven't hit a 3 yet in the game, so that's somewhat the swing here. And what feels like one that's being played at a lower pace so far. I feel fine about that Dream team total, the Fever team total, excuse me. It's on track right now. Seattle and Vegas, again, late night. Nothing really spoke to me as far as getting involved with this game. I know JY's playing the over. We had Coach join us earlier. He's on some Chelsea Gray props as well. But for Vegas, I just think the goal here has to be ending this series, keeping the streak going. Make it 18 in a row. Again, Fever right now, flip to live favorites against the Dream. Extend that. And it's tricky, man, but you're dealing with extra travel, right? Because the setup is the 1-1-1. It's a little bit lighter for, this opening round between Vegas and Seattle. Brutal on that Liberty Mercury series, right? But for Vegas, get this done with, rest up, Fever knock off the Dream. And who knows, if Indiana does beat Atlanta, it's next one takes it, right? And if the Fever knock off Atlanta, the Aces will be really big favorites in that series. So that's all stuff just to keep your eye on. Really within the WNBA. I'll end with this, okay? Tomorrow on a Wednesday, we get back to target player props. And last week, the first one we did of the season, there were some good looks in there, right? Saquon snuck over, Josh Allen way under, Gibbs into the end zone. We're going to run that back. But give yourself a little bit of an exercise, all right? You can feel free to tweet at SportsGrid, at Kevin Walsh. Just kind of have it by your side. What's a spot you're looking for, okay? Where on this props board, what are you interested? How do the books handle it? How do the books set it? I'll tell you one right now, and I don't know if we'll do it tomorrow. Maybe not, since I'm going to mention it right now. Quinshon Judkins ended up with 10 carries for 61 yards against the Ravens. They just gave him the fourth quarter, work, but is Judkins going to be the starting running back for Cleveland next week? Now they're playing Green Bay. That's tough, but is that going to be the case? What do the books do with that? So these are the type of things we're going to handle tomorrow on Game Time Decisions. Can't wait for that. Let's root in this fever. Team total over 77.5. In-game live has you covered. That's next with Gabe and Scott right here on SportsGrid.
For the countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.